Okay, Northridge High School game design students. What we are introducing today is going to end up being your final assignment for the class. I know it's kind of a big one, but it's not brutal because I provide you with an outline that allows you to fill in the blanks basically and get it done pretty quickly. Okay, so if you think back to our board game project where we made our board games, the first thing that you had to do was referred to as your GDD or game design document. We introduced that originally because game design documents are an integral part of how we structure our games and how we set up our vision for how they're going to end up being. Okay, that said, I know we are not actually going to make the game because that was kind of taken away from us via COVID-19. But I still want you to understand this is one of the most important concepts from game development. And I want you kind of understand the purpose of it, why we do it, why it's industry standard, why this is a thing. So what I have is in Canvas, I have your final assignment set up. Let me swap to this one. Okay. This is a PDF that is available in Canvas right now. You can copy it. What I would probably do if I were sitting in your shoes would be to just make a copy of this or put this directly into Word, make it editable, and just do your game design document inside of this. So what I have is this is a game design document. This is the outline for a game design document that I sourced through a contact at Blizzard Entertainment. This is kind of the framework that they use. This is what they would like their game proposals to look like. And so I kind of like it, and I figured we would go through and just use the same thing. I did trim a few things out for purposes of our class because I kind of felt like they were unimportant. Like projected revenue, that kind of thing. That's just kind of beyond the scope of what we're going to work on or what we would ever look at. So I took some of that out. A couple other things. There are a couple things that we're going to take out for this that you don't need to do. They're still in the game design document format because next semester they're going to use the proper one. But I will tell you which things you can skip. So pay attention while you're watching this, and you will know what you can skip and what you have to do. Okay, so for a game design document, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. You can read it too, but the game design document is a blueprint that describes your game and provides a basic for which a developer could implement it. The group assignment this semester provided foundation, so we've already done a whole bunch of stuff to kind of help you understand this. I want to make sure that your game design document has a professional look and feel, right? Make sure that you, as you're putting this together, you do it in a way that would make it look like you could actually take it to a company, okay? Make sure that you have the understanding that I want you to think of a video game in your head that you would want to make. It doesn't have to actually be creatable by you. For example, certainly none of you guys are going to be able to make the next Fortnite or the next World of Warcraft or the next Call of Duty as we sit here. That's fine. But I want you to envision a game that you would like to make. So then, after you kind of have this idea of a game you want to make, and we've been talking about this all semester, so really you should have kind of something in your back pocket. Okay, I want you to include a title page, a game name, add a subtitle or high concept sentence. So a high concept sentence is something that triggers thoughts of your game, right? So for example, the original Dark Souls had an advertisement that said Dark Souls kiss your butt goodbye, right? And that high concept sentence, while weird, if you understand Dark Souls, it really fit, right? Like that was the whole point. Dark Souls was supposed to be a nearly impossible game. And so their high concept sentence kind of set that out, right? Okay. I want to know your version number, your author, that's you, and the date you've been putting it together. Okay. Version number. If you guys will think back to, let me open up a notepad here so I can do a.
I can learn to understand you much better if I can get familiar with the way you talk.
I got it. Go away. Oh my heck. Alright, so I guess I gotta do it on the main window. Here we go. Notepad. Okay, so if you remember with our version numbers, right? So we have our version numbers. We had 3 sets of numbers like that, right? Okay. And we talked about this in class, but our first set right here is our major patch. Okay. Our second set is our minor patch. And our third set is our build number. Okay. So major patch is something that would be released, like your release candidate. So right now, all of your guys' games would be in major patch 0, right? Because you don't have a game yet. Okay, you don't have a game yet. And so your major patch is going to be 0. When stuff is in beta test, generally speaking, the major patch is 0. Okay, next thing. This is called the minor patch. This is the particular version of the program, the code that you're using. And so, for example, in World of Warcraft, the major patch would be the expansion. The minor patch would be like if they release a new dungeon or a new battleground, this might go up by 1. And the final one is the build or the bug fix, right? So every time they do a little thing, this goes up. So right now, for our purposes, your game is going to be 0.0.1. Okay, we're in major build 0 because you don't have a game to play yet. We're in minor build 0 because, again, you don't have any actual code written. But we are going to be in version 1 because the idea for your game is starting to take shape. So you guys should all be 0.0.1. Unless you are like Luke, who was working on a game that they worked on last semester and kind of pulling it through. Luke might have a different version number, but most of you guys will have this: major, minor, build. Okay, so that's going to be your there. Okay, team member names. Obviously, you would have had a partner. You will not have a partner for this particular assignment. This is going to be individual. So just put your name. Make sure that on the title page your name appears. Okay. All right. I want you to have a table of contents only because it makes sense and it looks good. If practical, hyperlink the document will help here. You don't need to hyperlink the document. You can skip that part. Okay. All right. So your it's going to be divided up into different like subsections. Okay. So each one of these bullets is a section. Okay. So first one, game overview. So I want a game concept, brief description of your game, player's role, kinds of challenges the player might face. So let's work from Breath of the Wild, for example. So brief concept of the game is going to be an open world action adventure. The player is going to be in the third person. They are going to run around and they are going to try to both defeat enemies, upgrade equipment, as well as solve puzzles. That would be an answer to number 1 if Breath of the Wild were the game we were building. Okay, number 2. Sorry about that. Somehow the new line got taken out of that. Number 2 is game genre, right? Are we doing FPS? Are we doing a horror game? Are we doing whatever? Okay. All right. Target audience. So this is who is your game being geared towards. So let's say we are going to make Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and our target audience is 70-year-old Oriental divorcees. Would that be a great target audience for our game? No, probably not. If we were trying to appeal to elderly, widowed Asian women, then we probably would have to rethink our game and what we were trying to do. Okay. So that would have to be different. But target audience. So for example, your target audience, if you are going to do an educational game, right, your target audience is going to be like elementary school students. If you are going to make, say, World of Warcraft, your target audience is going to primarily be people from the ages of 18 to 50. Okay. So I want to know your target audience, and I also want to know why that target audience would want to play the game. Okay. All right. What platform you're going to design it for. And again, this is all theoretical, so you don't have to worry about it, but are you going to do it for console? Are you going to do it for PC? Or are you going to do it for mobile? Okay. Look and feel of the game. So camera models, competitive or cooperative. So is it going to be third person, first person, fixed camera, the stuff we did a couple weeks ago? Is competitive or cooperative, meaning that are the players going to work together? Are they going to work against each other? Perhaps it's single player, and so you don't have to worry about that at all, right? Single player would fill that same role. Number 6, okay, we have game flow. So how does the game work? So, for example, if we go back to our Breath of the Wild, game flow might be we have a particular play style for combat, but when we go into puzzles, we're going to have it look just slightly different. Or if we were to use, say, Destiny 2, we will be first-person shooter when we are out in the world. We will be over-the-shoulder camera style when we are in town. So that interface changes based on the location that you're at. So I want you to identify how that would work. Okay, section 2, gameplay and mechanics. Okay, what's the objectives of your game? What are specific rules? Game options and user interface. Okay, so this is what your game looks like to the player. All right. I also want you to include a sample of the interface. So I want you to get out like BitPaint, Windows Paint, Photoshop, whatever, and I want you to draw. It doesn't have to be super good, but I want you to draw what your interface would look like. Is your action bar going to be down here along the bottom, and your map's up here, and your health bar's up here? Whatever. I want you to draw me an interface, a sample of the interface, so what you think it's going to look like. Okay? All right. Gameplay. Are you going to address replay value? Is someone, after they beat your game, are they going to want to play it again, or is it just going to go in the bin? And are you going to allow for save games? Okay. Core mechanics and balance. So core mechanics and balance will be like Dark Souls is a great example because it's intended to be wildly difficult. The core mechanic of Dark Souls is this game that is nearly impossible to beat. That's the point. It's the point of Dark Souls, right? So balance is way against the player. It's wildly anti-player, but it's intended to be that way. Okay? All right. Are you going to include different levels? Tetris, for example, different levels are pretty simply managed by the speed that the game pieces come into the world. Okay? Are you going to include any cheat codes or Easter eggs? What's some funny stuff that you would want to include in your game if you had the ability to put whatever you want into your game? Okay. All right. Story setting and character. Okay. Your storyboard. We kind of already did this, so I don't want you to necessarily spend a whole lot of time on this. Okay. So you can just do a couple sentences on your storyboard. Just kind of flow. Okay. All right. Character development. Okay. I want you to include at least one sample graphic. I want you can do something in Piskel. You can just draw something if you have a drawing app on your phone. You can do something in Windows Paint, whatever. But I want you to give me at least a sample graphic of what your character is going to look like, a sample graphic of what your world is going to look like. Okay, audio and music. You do not have to provide a sample for that. Okay, but I want you to draw me out something, what your character is going to look like and what the world's going to look like. Okay, so societal issues. Does your game change players for the better? Does it have to? Well, the answer to that is simply no. It does not need to change players, but companies in the age of social awareness want to identify whether or not it does. Or, conversely, does not. Does it change players for the worse? Okay. 3, how does your game help society? Does it help society? Well, you know what? Providing entertainment for people and letting them go have a good time, that's helpful to society, right? In this time of COVID-19 where we are relying on video games for a good chunk of our social interaction, that's a good thing, right? Where we can just say, hey, video games are good. They're helping people get through this. Okay. One of the things I would point out is there's been some pretty significant research on Grand Theft Auto and whether or not people who are violent in nature, if given an outlet for those violent tendencies, are they less violent in their real life? And it turns out that in many cases they are. So there are there's a bunch of research about letting violent personalities play Grand Theft Auto, and the idea that it will help them, give them an outlet for their aggression. Does it have to help society? No, it doesn't. But at the same time, I also think that there's some pretty decent research that Grand Theft Auto makes kids do some violent stuff too. So it goes both ways. Okay. Game assessment. Support to create your game. What are you going to need to make this game? If I was the company you were pitching your game to, what do you need from me to help you make your game a reality? Okay. And include kind of a sub of that is, why should the game create? If I'm the guy that's going to fund your game, why should I fund it? Okay. Market analysis. Are there any other games out there like this? If you're going to make Candy Crush or a version of Candy Crush, is that subset of the market saturated right now? And it totally is. Does that mean you can't make it? No. Does that mean that you can't do whatever? No. But you need to identify whether or not that subset is already pretty crowded. It's obviously better if you have some great revolutionary idea that's going to change the way video gaming works. Are there any games out there like this? And if there are, what are you going to do better than them? Okay. All right. Last thing on here is your game flyer. You can go ahead and skip that. I don't want you to do that. Just go ahead and skip that out. Okay. All right. Again, what I would do if I'm sitting in your shoes is I would copy this into a Word document, and I would go through and under games concept, brief description of the game, player's role, kind of challenge, player face, I would just freaking fill in that answer right there at the end. Okay. That one's going to be long. Some of these will be really short. Some of them will be a paragraph or two. But go through and just check the box, right, man? Just fill out every single one of these. And by the time you get to the end, you are done. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. You can drop into our stream every day on Twitch at noon. If you have questions, pop in there, ask your questions. I will help you out. You can send me an email. You can send me a message in Canvas. You can just let me know. Okay. I think that's it. Good luck. If this is going to be the last new assignment that you guys have to do, so once you have all of your assignments that we've assigned so far, and this one finished, I don't care if you have it done tonight, you are done for the year, right? So as soon as you have all of your stuff done, you are through. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And I will chat with you guys later. Have a good one. Bye.